Hello everyone and welcome to this installment on Dapper Penniless. I actually decided to start a new series on my YouTube, basically sharing some skills. So for me, other than what I do on a daily basis, I'm also a photographer and I'm now trying to get into doing some more video editing, shooting, things like that. So I kind of want to show you guys how I stabilize my video. What are some of the kinks that come with the stabilizer I use, which is the Beholder. So basically what a stabilizer or gimbal does, if you actually go around and use your camera to shoot video and you're doing it handheld, a lot of the time the video comes out shaky. Having a stabilizer like this one can help you get smoother shots, help you get more creative with the video that you're doing. Alright, so next up I want to show you the camera I use. This is the Sony A6300. This is the camera I use for all my vlogging. And all the video I'm going to kind of get into it. This is the camera I'm going to use to do it. So what's great about the Sony A6300 is that it does have 4K video, which is the best quality out for consumers right now. There are some pro cameras that go up to 6K or even more, I believe. But this camera is great for consumers, 4K video. You can have interchangeable lenses, which is great. I love this camera overall. There are some drawbacks. It does tend to overheat, and the battery power kind of slows out at 30 minutes. So if you have this camera or you're looking into a great vlogging camera, I do highly recommend this camera. However, if you're going to be shooting for long periods of time, I would suggest having your shots planned out. So you shoot a shot and you turn off the camera to save battery, or you have additional batteries on hand to kind of just interchange them, basically. Alright, so back to the stabilizer I'm using. This is the Beholder MS1. So the MS1 is specifically for mirrorless cameras. So this goes great with my Sony A6300, which I'm really happy about. It's actually not hard to put together, which I'm happy about. And I tried a couple of other stabilizers, like the Steadicam Solo. I think I rented a Came TV as well, but those were exceptionally hard to get stabilized for me, and I'm not sure why. I don't think there were enough instructions online on how to actually do it. But I think after using this one, I actually think it'll be easier for me to kind of understand how to set those up if I had to use them. This stabilizer is for mirrorless cameras. It can hold up to 1.9 pounds. And so you wouldn't want to put a DSLR on here or anything heavier than that. Coming in this kit, there is the main MS1 gimbal. There's a battery holder, 3 batteries, an adapter plate, a quick release plate, and 2 screws. So here again, I'm going to check to see that I have everything. So here's the main gimbal here. This is the MS1. It's the battery holder with the 3 batteries already installed. So we're good to go. Alright, so we have the 2 plates here. And I keep a coin in here, usually like a dime or a penny, because I'm going to have to screw things in. So it's nice that this comes in a kit that zips up, so I can keep any extra gear in there. And of course the charger. It's a standard USB charger, so if you're ever like, I don't know, you lost it or something, you can get any USB charger and an adapter and it'll work just fine. So that's great. Alright, so now let's get into actually stabilizing the Sony A6300. Now I set everything up to start the stabilization process. Alright, so I have the gimbal, I have the quick release plates, and I'm ready to go. So one quick thing I have to talk about in terms of the MS1. Originally, when they came out with this gimbal, they didn't take into consideration the smaller cameras that would actually have to go on the MS1. So this is where this additional adapter comes into play. So for any of the bigger mirrorless cameras like the Sony A7S, Sony A7S2, A7R, those they won't need this additional plate on there. They will just need to go on this quick release plate and you mount it and balance it that way. But for the smaller cameras like the A6300, you're definitely going to need to use the additional plate to actually get it balanced. It actually adds additional height to the camera to make sure that the camera is actually balanced. If you do not use it with the additional plate, your camera may look stabilized or balanced once you complete it, and I'll show you how that's done in a minute. but it will actually not be balanced and it will not work properly on the gimbal. And something I didn't say before about the MS1 is that it is an electronic gimbal. So what's really cool about this one is that you can pan and tilt using this button here, etc. I can show you that a little bit later. It's a pretty cool gadget. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so first thing into balancing the gimbal is adding the plates. Now I want to tell you a little bit about the plates. Because when the MS1 first came out, they didn't actually have these this additional plate. But for smaller mirrorless cameras like the A6300, you have to use this additional plate on here in order to give the camera some height. This is not an issue that you're going to have with like the Sony A7S, A7S II, A7R, or any other bigger mirrorless cameras. But this is an issue with the smaller mirrorless cameras like the A6300. So you have to add this additional plate so that all the axes, the X, Y, Z axes are balanced and stabilized. If you fail to use this plate, you will come across issues with balancing the camera. It may look like the camera's balanced once you balance it, but it's actually not, and that will actually mess up your camera setup to take some great shots. So why do that? Alright, so on the videos that I've seen and by the manufacturer, I've seen them put this plate all the way at the end, so that's what I'm going to do as well. I'm going to put it over here, and I'm just going to screw that in with my coin. I want to make sure that it's straight and tight, like that. That's good. And I put a towel under here actually because this is a glass table I'm using, so I don't want to ever mess up the table if this drops on it. It's recommended that you use a stabilizer either on like a bed or a couch, just in case, you know, it flops over. It's falling over onto a soft place instead of like a hard place like the floor or on a table that can potentially break. This is like heavy duty metal, so you don't want to mess with that. I found that putting the quick release plate, so in the third hole here and sort of at the end, is just right for my camera. And this is a trial and error thing, so if you have a different camera brand or you have your own A6300, it may work different for you depending on the lens you're using. Some lenses are heavier going forward or longer in focal length, so you always have to take that into consideration. But just do a little trial and error and make sure that whichever one of these works for you, works for you. That's all. Alright, another thing I kind of want to talk about is having everything that you need on your camera already on it before you add it to the stabilizer. So if you want a microphone on there, if you have anything additional that you want to add to the camera, make sure it's on before you balance it. Any change will make the camera unbalanced, and that's not what you want. So for me, like now I'm using the kit lens here, and it's a zoom lens. So when it comes and opens up, it's at that 16mm to start, right? So if I wanted to add a different focal length, see, as I'm pulling this ring in, the weight is distributed differently. So I want to make sure I'm at the focal length that I want, or else I would have to rebalance the camera. So that's all you kind of want to keep in mind with that. Alright, so I'm going to slip this on. Hold on. Well, sorry. You have to make sure this is unscrewed, so at the bottom here. Then you slip it in. Alright, and from here, I'm trying to see where it bounces. So alright, so it's standing, but it's to the side a little bit. So now I know I have to adjust the plate so the camera is more balanced on that side going that way. Alright, so you guys see that? Alright. Alright, so that looks more stable to me. So now I'm able to kind of dip it and it stays. Yeah, so that's looking way, way, way better. Alright. So So now it's time to turn on and start shooting. So from here, there's a button here, and that turns it on. And now I can start shooting. Pretty cool, huh? And it allows me to pan and tilt. And do things like that. What do you guys think? It's actually pretty dope. There's also a lock mode function if I press it one time. So there, it doesn't lose its position or move with my wrist. It just stays locked. Alright. So that's all for that. There's many, you know, less high-end stabilizers out there. This is just the one I wanted, so I got it. You can get one that's manual. The same applies. Like, you're gonna have to balance it across the X, Y, and usually Z axis to make sure the weight is distributed. And then you can start to get creative. Do like slider motions, pull into the scene, pull out of the scene, and just add some overall movement to a shot that might be less dynamic otherwise. All right. I'm happy to get out there and start shooting. I hope soon enough I can go outside, maybe on vacation or something, and actually get some great shots with this and share it with you. But that's it for this installment on this Beholder MS1 gimbal. If you have any questions, add it to the comments below. I'll put a link to this gimbal in the comments. I'm sorry, in the description box below. You guys let me know what you think. Let me know what you guys use if you guys are photographers or videographers for stabilizing your shots. I'd love to hear from you. I hope this was a helpful review and helpful on balancing a gimbal overall. I'm also going to put the link that I watched that was actually from the manufacturer if you guys need additional help with balancing this gimbal, if this is what you choose to get. Thank you very much for watching.